Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at 9 countries you can't visit. How many countries have you been to? Some people have been to a few, some a lot, and some have never left their country. But one man named Henrik Jepsen has visited nearly every country in the world. And recently, he shared some countries which are so hard to get into and some he couldn't get into. Before we take off, why not subscribe and press the notification bell too? Coming up first is Libya. Libya is a North African country I'm sure you know, but many people know it from some things which aren't so great. For example, there's been many coups for the leadership of Libya, and just a few years ago Libyan dictator Gaddafi was ran out of his own kingdom by the people of Libya. Libyan people are said to be some of the world's friendliest people. But it's incredibly difficult to get a visa in Libya. No matter what embassy you contact, almost all of them will deny you. Most of the time you'll actually have to get in contact with the foreign press. That's right, you'll actually have to be a very respected journalist to get into Libya. This is because there is some political instability in the country. However, you can get in if you're a journalist or on diplomatic business. That's right, if you represent another country then you can enter Libya. But booking flights and arranging it with a travel agent will still set you back a lot of money. In some cases it can cost around $5,000 to enter Libya. Next up is Nauru. This country is a tiny island you may never have heard of, but it can be found in the South Pacific Ocean. It's incredibly small and isolated and is often left off world maps. It's incredibly difficult to get a visa to enter this country, but you can get one at 4 diplomatic missions in the world. Those are Bangkok, Thailand, Brisbane, Australia, Suva, Fiji, or Taipei, China. The island is incredibly small and there's not much to do on it. The flights are also incredibly expensive as they're few and far between. Because of this, only around 100 people per year visit this tiny island. There's also only a few hotels on this small island. That means you need to book well in advance as they get filled up very quickly. But when you do get to this island, the beaches are incredible and you can have yourself a pretty nice time. But this country is most definitely not on most people's bucket list. Next up is Diego Garcia. Diego Garcia is in the British Indian Ocean. On the surface, Diego Garcia looks like a tropical paradise. There's beautiful white sand beaches, and the water is so clear you can see the colourful coral underneath. But ever since the 70s, this island has had a whole lot of trouble. In 1973, the UK government built a large military base on the island. They then evicted all of the residents who lived on it. Since then, it's been off limits to anyone except official personnel. Since then, this island has been incredibly secret and it's one of the UK government's most valuable assets. That's because it's located in a very secretive place not near to any other country. Not only that, it's home to a CIA black site. A CIA black site is a place with no laws where the CIA can do whatever they want. This is often extreme interrogation of people they suspect to be doing illegal things. Many human rights groups have come forward saying this island needs to be looked into. But right now the CIA and the UK government have locked this island off and you cannot go there. Not only that, this island's incredibly important as it's a key strategic area for the UK. It's located right under Iran, Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. So this is most definitely one of the most secret and forbidden countries on this list. Next up is Syria. If you turn on the news, it should be apparent why you wouldn't exactly want to go to Syria, and also why it's so difficult to get to. Ever since 2011, Syria has been in a civil war. This is between the Syrian government, rebel groups, and IS. But amazingly, there are some ways to get into this very dangerous country. Having a visa is not enough. If you do get a visa, there's not really any ways to fly in. But some people do fly in through Beirut and then drive up to the border. You'll then need to convince an immigration officer as to why you should be allowed into the country. If you say you're a tourist, they likely won't believe you. That's why most people allowed in are going on business or they're journalists. But getting a visa to Syria is very difficult. Most governments don't want the wrong kinds of people getting into the country. But you can actually get into contact to the Syrian ambassador to North Korea to get a visa. That's right, you'll actually have to use the North Korean ambassador to get a visa to go to Syria. And that brings us nicely to our next country on the list, North Korea. Now, North Korea can be incredibly hard to get into in the first place. And if you do get in, don't expect to go very far. Firstly, you'll need to get a double-entry Chinese visa. Not only that, you'll need to use the North Korean Tourism Ministry before getting in. This means you'll be thoroughly checked to make sure you're not a spy or journalist. Also, if you do get into the country, your entire visit will be in the form of a tour. And I don't mean a relaxed tour you can walk away from. Your guards are pretty much chained to you 24/7. 2 guides will never leave your side even for a second. It's actually against North Korean law to travel alone in the country. And if you do stray away from your group, this could land to you and your guide in jail. Or more likely, a North Korean secret work camp. But if you're an American watching this, then you're out of luck. Americans are actually banned by the USA themselves from entering North Korea. Next up is South Sudan. South Sudan's visa system is notoriously difficult. Most people can never get a visa to get into South Sudan, but the best bet is to get one in Egypt. This will take many weeks and a lot of paperwork, but it is surprisingly cheap to get, being only $50 US. Sudan used to be Africa's biggest country, but since South Sudan declared their independence, this is no longer the case. You normally can't get a tourist visa to go to South Sudan, but if you get a press visa, you may be able to get in. However, you will need to get a written notice from someone in the country employing you, otherwise you're not getting in. Most people who do go to this country travel in armored vehicles. That's because it's said to be a very dangerous place with a lot of problems. And pretty much every government in the world says do not visit South Sudan unless you know what you're doing. Next up is North Sentinel Island. North Sentinel Island is part of the Andaman Islands, and it's actually illegal to visit this island. Technically, it's under the rule of India, but no Indian has ever been to this island. That's because before you even set foot on this island, you won't be alive. The island is home to a tribe known as the Sentinelese. This group has spent the past 60,000 years isolated from humanity. Recently, an American did actually try and get onto the island, but he was taken out by bow and arrows before he even made it onto the island. And believe it or not, it's actually legal for these islanders to do this. They're a protected, self-governing tribe and they can do whatever they want. In 2004, India did actually fly a helicopter over the island, but the helicopter had to get out of there very quickly as they were treated to a bunch of arrows being shot at them. Next up, we have Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia do not permit any tourism visas. However, one way to get in is through religious reasons. For example, if you're a Muslim and want to go on a pilgrimage of sorts to Saudi Arabia. But if you're not, the only hope of you getting into this place is through business purposes. A company will need to sponsor your visit and write to the government for you to be let in. The reason why they don't allow tourism is because they don't want Western influence on their ideology. Also, most governments ask you not to go to this country. That's because they have many laws which will be very alien to people from the Western world. For example, drinking is forbidden. Same-gender relationships are also prohibited. And if you're a woman under 25, it's illegal to go to this country without a husband. And breaking any of these laws can mean you'll get whipped. So if you do go to Saudi Arabia on business, make sure to follow all of their local laws and customs. Some say the country's getting more modern under the leadership of Mohammed bin Salman, but Saudi Arabia does still have a lot of catching up to do to the Western world. And finally on the list of countries you can't visit, we have SURTSEY Island. This island is very small and is just off the coast of Iceland. It began sprouting from the ocean in the 60s and is a volcanic island. It was quickly declared off limits to anyone wanting to visit. And the reason why is because scientists want to keep this island human-free. They want to make sure human interference doesn't get in the way of new plants and animals in this island. This has led to many theories, for example, animals and plants we've never seen before inhabiting this island. But because no one's ever been allowed to visit, we don't know what's going on SURTSEY Island. Check out the poll in the top right corner to vote for the country you want to visit on this list the most. I think a lot of these countries are pretty scary, but I'm sure if you went in there safely, you could actually check them out and they'd be pretty cool to visit. If you guys want some more amazing videos, then check out my second channel. There'll be a link to that coming up on screen in a moment. But as always, thank you guys for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.